Welcome. Well, you're at home with Jim and Joy, and you are an important part of our EWTN family. And we are so delighted that you have welcomed us into your home. We certainly would love to hear from you. So send us an email with a question or a comment to jimandjoy@ewtn.com. And today, our guest is Rhonda Miller. And Rhonda is the director of the Project Rachel Ministry for the Diocese of Colorado Springs. You could go to the National Project website. It's called hopeafterabortion.com. And we shared about this on our Monday live show, and there are men and women who in their past maybe have made the poor life choice to have an abortion. And we want you to know that there is hope, there is healing. You might be feeling separated from God since you had your abortion. Maybe you're feeling separated from your own person. And we meet with post-abortion women. And I had one woman who said to me, I said, well, how do you think that your abortion affected your relationship with God? And she said, well, before I had my abortion, I used to go to church every Sunday, but I have not gone back to church. And I said, why? Why do you think you have not gone back to church? And this is what she said. I'm afraid, Miss Joy, that if I sit down in a pew, that it would go on fire. That's what she believed, and that's what the devil wants you to believe. He wants to separate you from God. And we were able to pour love and hope and restoration and get her reconciled back to God, say, no, is that the Jesus you knew before your abortion? She was like, no. And I said, well, he hasn't changed. He's still the same Jesus, and he's madly in love with you, no matter what you've done. That's extravagant mercy, extravagant grace, extravagant healing, that Jesus went to the cross that you would not be separated from him, no matter what you've done in your past. So hopeafterabortion.com.
Hopeafterabortion.com. Project Rachel's our show today with Rhonda Miller. And there's hope, there's healing, there's forgiveness, there's freedom, there's liberty. There's a witness that you'll be able to make, if you so choose, to the gospel of life, and that no matter how deep sin is, God's love is deeper still. And you really find that out when you've been involved with something like abortion, and Christ comes to you and heals you, extends his mercy, and sets you free. We'll be right back. There's plenty more to come. A very tender and important show today, maybe just for you. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. We're at home with Jim and Joy, and today our guest is Rhonda Miller. And Rhonda is the director of the Project Rachel Ministry for the Diocese of Colorado Springs. You can go to the national website of Project Rachel. It's called hopeafterabortion.com. Now, in 1973, abortion became legal in our land. And when abortion became legal, we need to remember this, it was legal all the way up to 9 months. In every state. And then states started enacting laws and turning it back. And now some states, like our great state of Alabama, it requires a law. You have to have an ultrasound before you have an abortion. You have a 48-hour waiting period, and you have what's called the right to know. So every client who comes in has the right to know about what abortion is and what abortion does. And so we're in this war. We're going to stay in this war until our dying breath. I can honestly tell you, I hate abortion. Why do I hate abortion? Because what it does to human beings, what it does to men and women and to babies, and it's destroying people. And that's not what God is about. So today we have a very special woman named Rhonda, and she is here to tell us her story. And now in 1973, the USCCB also said, because the church was going to rise up and heal. So in 1973, the USCCB required every diocese in the state or in the country to have a post-abortion healing ministry, which was Project Rachel. And so Rhonda is going to tell us her story and how she got involved with Project Rachel. And we welcome you, Rhonda.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be here. Project Rachel actually started in Colorado Springs 25 years ago with a priest named Father Bill Carmody. And he collaborated with Vicki Thorne, some of the wonderful people that have been in post-abortive healing programs since the inception. And how I became involved goes back a little bit further than that. You mentioned Roe v. Wade, 1973. And in 1975, I was young and became pregnant. And I really felt that that this man and I would get married, especially when I became pregnant. And he would have no part of that, and insisted that I have an abortion. I didn't have any other resources. I didn't feel like I had any place to go or anyone to tell. And so I allowed myself to be bullied and pushed into a position of having an abortion. It was an excruciating experience on all sorts of different levels, not just physical and mental, but spiritual. But physically, I had no idea that it was going to be so painful. And I screamed out during the procedure. And the nurse said to me, "Be quiet. You're going to upset people in the waiting room." And I immediately, that was it. I was quiet for the rest of the time. I went home. I can remember sitting at the top of stairs, just rocking back and forth, wailing and crying, and until I couldn't cry anymore. And I went to bed. I woke up the next morning, and I did exactly what that nurse told me to do: be quiet. I would not speak about that again until I moved to Colorado 25 years later.
Wow.
And I met Father Bill Carmody. And there was a wonderful woman who had spoken at our church, Nancy Gonzalez, who was on our Project Rachel team in Colorado Springs. And she told her story to the congregation. And I thought she was talking just to me. And I met with Father Bill privately. I went through Project Rachel, and I have been healing and volunteering ever since that day 25 years ago, or 20 years ago it's been.
Well, that healing is all over your face.
Thank you. Yeah.
Praise the Lord.
Yes.
Look what the Lord has done. And like you said, 25 years, you didn't really articulate this or speak. It was almost like a curse spoken upon you, where she said, don't speak, don't say anything.
I hadn't thought about it, but yes.
And that's evil. I think about abortion. We hate the taking of innocent human life. We love the people involved, the women. We need to love them both in the midst of crisis pregnancy. After abortion, we love the baby that is with the Lord and the woman that's had an abortion, or the guy who's post-abortive, anybody who's impacted by it. But there was a community for you. Somebody came and spoke. After 20-something years, you heard someone who wasn't keeping things secretive, that spoke it out and gave you opportunity to say, well, maybe I can speak about this with one person. I'll speak afterwards and I'll just share.
Right.
It's so hard to come out in that sense and to say, I was involved with this. But should we be surprised when we have 62 million abortions, maybe 30 million women or so that have been involved, because those 62 million taken repeat abortions? Tell us why Project Rachel, why that name? biblical. It was taken from there. From the little bit I know about that, it's a pretty distressful portion of Scripture.
It is. It's interesting that it's one of my favorite subjects is Rachel. And Rachel and Leah were sisters, and Laban was their father. And Jacob fell in love with Rachel, but married Leah. And the condensed version is that that when they left, they were, in exile. Rachel had not conceived any children, but Leah had many. And on her way back out of exile, Rachel had a baby and died in childbirth. And rather than Jacob taking her to the family plot, he buried her alongside the road. And all of the sons put stones and built a monument to her where she was buried, knowing, because Jacob knew that at some time the Jews would need to know that she was there, interceding and praying for them. And once they were, the Jews were in exile and walking past, and babies were being killed, Rachel was there to intercede for them. And so she's mentioned in Old Testament and New Testament. And
the holy innocents being slain, and Rachel's weeping.
Rachel's mourning and weeping for her children who are no more.
Well, it's a powerful name, very fitting, and we can get into the detail. Mourning is just so important, isn't it? Mourning.
Yes.
Mourning. And that so many women and so many guys who regret their involvement or paying for an abortion, or blessed are those who mourn, but we don't have permission to mourn.
No.
So if you're secular or you're not a believer and you have an abortion, and yet somewhere inside there's a loss of life, and you try to tell that to somebody, it's kind of like, well, you did the right thing, you did what you had to do, you had to take care of yourself. But somewhere, even those who aren't believers, but are just based in the natural law, have this sense that you don't allow me to grieve or to mourn. And then within the church, have you asked for forgiveness? Yes, I did. I asked for forgiveness. Then it's okay. Well, that might be the most important thing, to ask for forgiveness, but I'm still not okay. Why?
Right.
Because I'm not more, nobody tells me that there's anything else to do in this. Speak to us about post-abortion healing in general, but in particular, what makes Project Rachel, I don't know, generally, or the Project Rachel in your diocese unique? What's offered generally, and then what's unique about what you're offering?
Well, as you mentioned, the USCCB has said that there's a Project Rachel ministry in every diocese. And each diocese is free to choose what type of healing program they offer, and which is wonderful. Talk about prophetic. And but in Colorado Springs, we have taken a lot of what is offered in other programs, and we have created an 8-week program that takes a woman from a place of immense shame and guilt, and walks her through the forgiving process of forgiving people that were involved in her abortion, of forgiving herself. The most important part of it is that in order to have an abortion, a woman has to dehumanize in some way, disconnect with the baby that she is carrying. And it can be done through believing that it's a clump of cells, or that it's just tissue. In order to have that abortion, she has to believe that. So our process, our program, reconnects the woman with that child. It rehumanizes her baby through prayer And the group healing process, the woman comes to realize if her baby was a boy or a girl. We have many women who are there who have had more than one abortion, and they carefully take the time in prayer to discern each of those babies, and then to name each of those babies. That's our right and responsibility as a parent, to name our children. And so they name their babies, and then we take them through a process that continuously builds on the relationship and the bonding that they have with that child. They actually hold a doll for a week. They carry a doll with them that represents that child. And then at the end, they give that baby back to God. It's very symbolic, and it needs to be, you never saw your child in the abortion, most times. And it's a way of recreating this child to us. But in the end, we give it back to God. And we do that with a memorial mass, and we place these babies on the altar. The mothers and fathers receive a certificate of dignity with the child's name on it, since there is no birth certificate.
Right.
And then what we do is we do follow-up care afterward, quarterly, so that they can gather together with women who are on their healing journey. So that's basically what is unique about our program.
And on your team, though, you'll have a priest or a deacon, you'll have a counselor, and then you have a post-abortive facilitator.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So men or women can come, and they would take this journey. Do you meet at a church? Do you meet at a house? Where does this meeting happen?
We usually meet in a church, like a meeting room or a basement of a church, someplace that is safe and secure. Everything is confidential that we do. We want women to be able to, it's difficult enough to think about coming and sitting with a group of other women and men who have experienced abortions and talk about it. It's frightening. And so that's what we do. And we do have a team, and the priests and deacons are trained to work with people that are post-abortive. The counselors also, and have grief training. And what we do is we sign letters of confidentiality that nothing will leave the room, and that is respected the entire 8 weeks.
It was amazing where you started off in terms of disconnecting. That in order to have an abortion, there has to be this disconnection with that child. So you believe the lie that's supposed to be science, this is just a clump, but also you believe the lies of the culture, this is your right, or maybe this is human but not as human as you are. You know, disconnecting and reintegrating is just absolutely critical, and that's what the post-abortion healing process is about. But it must be very scary to try and reconnect after you've done this act or participated in this act, right? Where do I go to reconnect? Do I really want to reconnect? Is my child mad at me? Is God mad at me? Is what? Or if I really tell you how I feel, I'm afraid I'm going to die, or I'm just going to fall apart. So God's grace in just getting a person to that point.
It is so critical. There is no healing without God's grace. Bottom line, it's true. I can remember my very first session, leaving and going out to my car and sitting there crying, thinking, I don't know if I can do this again. It opens up a wound that is so deep, and sometimes years, decades old.
But the wound is there, whether you open it up or not, right? I mean, you are wounded. It's having an impact. There are symptoms of this wound, whether you know it or not. So either you are wounded, or you can reveal the wound, find out where you're hurting, and in all likelihood, get a degree of healing and be reintegrated as a human being.
Yes, and reintegrated into your families, into your marriages. I don't think that many women understand how disconnected an abortion can make you from living a full life and being totally present, not just to your family and to your spouse, but to God.
Amen. We're going to take a break at this point, and you'll come back for our final segment. Please go to hopeafterabortion.com. Have you had an abortion? Have you participated in an abortion? You need some hope? There's a whole community. There are millions of people now that have walked through post-abortion healing, not just 62 million abortions, but people now being healed, who the lie is being uncovered, and they are able to be reintegrated within themselves, with their child, with their communities, with their families. Hopeafterabortion.com. We'll be right back. Plenty more to come. Don't go away.
Welcome back. Well, you're at home with Jim and Joy, and we're having a wonderful conversation with Rhonda. And she was telling us all about her beautiful post-abortion healing ministry, Project Rachel. What if you're a man or a woman out there and you're saying, well, I had an abortion 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 1 year ago, and I don't even know that I'm experiencing any symptoms, and I've never spoken about it either. Rhonda, why don't you tell our family at home what's some of the manifestations of some of the symptoms of a man or a woman that is post-abortive? What does it look like for them in their lives?
For women, oftentimes the common symptoms are thoughts of suicide, depression. Depression is a huge indicator, with not really understanding why, because abortion is supposed to be good for women and a right, but it isn't, and so it's not recognized. Depression is not recognized as perhaps stemming from a past abortion. Guilt, shame, rage. I remember being very angry and wondering why I was so angry. Eating disorders, sleeplessness, just a sense of worthlessness, and self-harm, trying to make yourself feel as terrible as the act that you have done, and maybe not consciously. So lots of, such as alcohol and drug abuse, and self-harm.
When you go through your
things.
Project Rachel 8-week course and class, and you've got the people there, do you find with a lot of these people they start connecting the dots?
Absolutely.
And we find it doesn't even take that much work. It's just like a conversation, and then they start oh, that's what that is. That's what I feel. Now I it's like that. Now I know where the pain is. Why?
And they begin to feel normal because they understand now where it's coming from. For men, it's a lot of the same, not the suicide, but the depression. And a lot of men, because they feel, it depends upon how they were involved in the abortion as to what they're feeling, whether they didn't know about it ahead of time or if they were actively involved in making that happen.
Yeah.
But a lot of them are very angry, and you end up with men battering either the woman who had the abortion or subsequent partners.
Yeah. Well, we're going to stop at this point and look forward tomorrow for more sharing about this all-important area and the good news of hope and help and healing. If you've had an abortion, you've been involved, you might feel like I'm a live wire. If anybody touches me, they're going to die. Jesus Christ came to take hold of that live wire, and he died for your sins. And he wants to give you his forgiveness. He wants to give you his mercy and set you free. for his glory, for his honor, for your reconciliation with this child, maybe numerous of children, and to be reintegrated within yourself, with your family, with your loved ones, and with eternity. You're an important part of the CWTN family. You are never alone. And you're always at home with Jim and with Joy. Keep it on EWTN. Bye now.